Hi, and welcome to our presentation. Our aim today is to demonstrate our understanding of and capacity to use the skills and theories covered in our module, Applied Digital Research Skills, thus far. We will be summarizing and explaining our own experiences and understanding achieved through the undertaking of ethnographic research online using Robert Kozinet's methodology adapted to the scope of technology's relationship with running culture. This research attempts to answer the question highlighted here to provide insight for technology and sportswear developers to design more beneficial products, intriguing running athletes, professional and recreational alike. We present through our identification of the research question, followed by a literature review, methodologies used, ethical considerations, data gathering, data analysis, and conclude with a discussion of our preliminary data prior to the conducting of a complete research study on this topic. Okay, so the two primary purposes of the literature review are fundamentally to recognize what knowledge already exists out there, and secondly to distinguish what is found wanting in the theoretical frame of knowledge. This, defined aptly by Jessen, Mattison and Lacey 2011, go to further suggest, while evaluating the research problem, it is desirable to adhere to its significance, researchability and feasibility. Based upon the existing knowledge and gap in knowledge, the researcher should form a research question or questions pertaining to the immediate study to provide complementary theoretical knowledge. Laurier Library and their YouTube video on developing a research question explain that a good question focuses on only one issue and doesn't try to fit in too much. The question is clear with no vague words, defined and made more specific. We use their worksheet presented here to help with the process of identifying our topic and creating our study focus. So firstly, we chose a topic we were interested in, that being health and fitness and technology. We then thought of different aspects of this topic that we could focus on. Initially, our question revolved around technology and its relationship with activewear and fitness in general. We used the concept of mind mapping to map out some of the different aspects of the topic to attempt to narrow our focus. We pondered on various avenues of the health and fitness industry, with ideas of fitness trackers and data to activewear, psychology, sportswear and footwear, various sports technologies, and product design related to hiking, cycling and swimming. But once we had a few ideas on the topic, we honed in on one for our primary focus. We chose to examine the implications of technology in running culture, then draft some questions about our topic's aspect. We asked things like, how willing are consumers to embrace tech into their running wear? And how willing are consumers to give up data for health-related tracking? We not only partake in the activity of running ourselves, but we're also interested in investigating where this relationship with technology is heading. So we were keen to examine the obsessive and cult-like following running culture voices, and try to discover whether technology is promoted or somewhat resented. Therefore, further questions arose such as running with wearable technology, like where is it going? And is technology in running welcomed or is it a hindrance? While wording the research question, it was important to re-emphasize that it needed to be specific and clear about who, what, where and when we were talking about. Geography is important. We deliberated on countries, regions and continents. However, we decided to go with a broad focus of a global scale, as we did not feel there was much of a difference in our particular study. And if location did become influential, we could revise. Timeframe wise, we decided on an outlook of where technology and running will be in 10 years' time, or by 2030. We'd follow steps outlined in Reading for Research, adapted from Julia Gossard of USU History, provided in our coursework. By reading with the topic in question in mind, this helped in knowing what to look out for as we further followed steps like previewing the document prior to engagement, and whether the title, abstract, table of contents or section headings gave us insight into the content or argument. We learned to read the intro and conclusion in their entirety, identifying the main argument and how it relates back to our topic or question. Furthermore, we used the research technique of skimming to read the first and last paragraph in a chapter or section and scan for ideas and concepts rather than individual words. After reading, we summarized what we had read in our own words, noting things like how does this or these relate to the overall argument. We looked at things like the key evidence and examples. Were they convincing? What did we learn from the reading? And how does the reading relate to our topic and research question?
For the literature review, we narrowed down potential sources by first listing keywords to help keep information concise, and then drew upon information found in up-to-date journals, and later established key themes and information surrounding the topic. This led up to the finalised literature review, which goes as following. Technology is leading the change of the fashion industry towards a more creative and clever future in ways that were previously unimagined. With the rise of the Internet of Things, namely physical objects that have sensors and communication functions with the aim of connecting and interacting information between devices, smart clothing has evolved. Smart clothing, or wearable technology, which merges both technology and fashion, is a growing trend, particularly within the sportswear segment of the industry. New advancements have made it possible to incorporate creations such as tactile sensors, textile circuits, and conductive fibers in sportswear, which can ultimately enhance the user's exercise experience. According to Lindsay, connected clothing or running shoes allows for greater convenience than using other wearable tech, which is more readily available, such as smartwatches. For instance, Under Armour has released a smart shoe that automatically tracks runs without relying on satellite-based tracking, which can then be synced to an app, helping to minimize distraction or need of other devices. Other examples of connected clothing in the running world are smart socks with embedded sensors that can measure how fast and far a user runs, but also work as a correction tool by identifying which part of the user's feet are receiving the most pressure. However, despite considerable investment and rapid breakthroughs having been made within the field, it is not yet of widespread use within society. According to Ju and Lee, this is due to the high price of these innovative items, as well as the lack of prevalence of technological clothing in the market, but also stating that it is mainly used by early adopters and professional athletes. Mills, on the other hand, states that consumers are open to the idea of using wearable technology, but are concerned about data security relating to smart clothing.
In this section, I'm going to talk about methodology. So what sites were studied? First of all, hashtags, for example, Nike Apple Watch, on social media platforms including Instagram and Twitter. Posts and comments on Facebook groups, specific runners forums, YouTube unboxing reviews, videos and comments. We also looked at products' official websites, including the reviews and comments on the product's information page. So, why are these sites were chosen, and what were some of the focal points of our research? We looked for sites with high popularity, and popularity is determined through engagement rates, numbers of activity users, comments and likes per post, etc. And we looked for sites with high number of reviews and comments on the sites, to ensure a relatively large size of samples to ensure the objectivity of the study. And we looked for comments made by verified users. And we looked for particular keywords or codes relevant to running and technology. Common codes in this area would include support, lightweight, durability, performance, etc. We will also be using these keywords or codes to determine the scope and paint the picture of our research. Ethnography could contain a lot of junk information. It is vital to carry the steps above and perform qualitative analysis in order to make sure we gather as much useful information as possible. So what are some of the ways in which we can analyze ethnography data? Grouping comments to see trends or similarity or dominant opinions. Compare and contrast the trends or similarities. Also, we can go through the reviews on similar products of different brands or competitors. After we've done all of this, we've got the answer of the following questions. Are there similarities or differences in their strengths or weaknesses? Is one overwhelmingly better than the other? Is there any dominant trends in the review? If yes, what are the causes of the trends?
For the qualitative gathering method data, we have opted to use participatory in-depth interviews over other methods such as focus groups, because we can avoid moderators' bias and prevent disproportionate speaking time that would frequently occur when more zealous participants would take over during focus groups, for example. In terms of where our in-depth interviews will take place, we have suggested for them to carry out on either the Zoom or Microsoft Teams platforms, as we can reach a wide range of participants globally, and therefore no participants will be restricted from participating regardless of a given location. In terms of the structure of the research method, we aim to use a semi-structured interview. Perhaps we as interviewers can prepare questions beforehand to keep the conversation flowing and naturally, preventing as many pauses and hesitations in this encouraged two-way communication. And this also helps the respondents to stay on track with the relevant topic. With in-depth interviews, we can also gain a higher potential for richer insights and in-depth analysis from the qualitative responses. These interviews would help us as researchers to truly learn about their particular expectations, and so for our research topic, we can discover their experiences about technological goods and services accommodated with running. The sampling we'll use is voluntary sampling, which is one of the non-probability sampling methods where participants are self-selected into the research method. And so we propose this sampling method as we are investigating a niche research topic. And so we are more open to looking at participants who have a strong interest in the area of running wear and technology. And we have agreed on using a sample size of around 10 to 12 people, as in-depth interviews may be complicated to organise and can be quite a time-consuming procedure. So we will have to consider potential no-shows. We have proposed our quantitative data method to be based on keyword targeting research, and so we can collate information on the volume of certain keywords on the big social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, as well as on YouTube. The benefits of this is that we can achieve a high volume of data and analyse the data in a swift and timely manner using SEO tools such as SEMrush. This helps us to see what people are searching for, how many are searching for it, and also the formation of information. But primarily we'll be looking at the social media platform Twitter, where they have their own dedicated keyword targeting tool, which makes it very convenient for us digital marketers. Here we can go to a targeting section of keywords and even filter out certain audience features catered to our research, and therefore we can compare datasets with other regions and analyse the audience perceptions of certain technological products or services that we associate with in terms of running wear. These keywords include words with hashtags and words without hashtags, and we can process them automatically, and they appear in any order, and this also includes related terms, slang words, synonyms and misspelt words. But this can lead to problems as we are using potentially a huge sample from many countries, and this consequently has ethical and privacy issues, which will be elaborated in the next slide.
The ethical implications for ethnography depend on the methods and ways we collect data. Since we will be using public domain spaces such as Twitter and YouTube to collect data, it is often practiced that you do not need to gain informed consent to access these datasets. The common consensus with social media is that you can access the data without logging into an account, and there is no need for informed consent. There has been some questions whether the poster is aware or conscious of the fact that their material can be used by researchers and if they are fine with this when posting to social media, which has indeed become a blend of public and personal space. When actively reaching out to interlocutors, though, it is essential to inform them of the intentions of the questions being asked and to gain consent to use their answers within our ethnography. Every user is entitled to anonymity, and all precautions should be taken to ensure that no data that is not pertinent to the study is collated, such as race and religion.
We aim to identify roughly 4 to 5 core themes that we can identify both from our literature review and ethnography. About half of our overall studies have determined either technical or runner-related implications that affect the possibility for recreational runners using technology. The other half stated incentives to use technology during running. Runners' reasonings are broad but related to 5 main categories: the tracking of personalized exercise data, raising running motivation, performance improvement, interaction techniques for use while running, and data protection issues. Overall, there appeared to be a significant association between technology usage and independence and proficiency. Our research also found there was a focus around psychological viewpoints. Adverse to physical health advantages from running with devices, research concerning well-being could further be integrated into the scope of wearable technology. Nonetheless, results focused on the access of linking technology and the consumer, demonstrating that technology producers and researchers in the sphere of running now work for the corresponding purpose, a person's physical and mental health. Additionally, we noted runners' attitudes on self-regulation assisted by technology. The advanced interaction of physical and mental health points to the finding that the psychological research field for the practice of technology for running has been expanding lately. With regard to the psychological outlook on running with technology, additional research is nevertheless required. Another theme that arose from the obtained data relating to consumer attitudes for embracing technology into their running is the fact that even though many consumers appreciate the benefits of technological fitness wear, privacy concerns regarding the data that is collected still remains a major barrier to adoption. From these 5 themes, it was decided that going forward with this study, it would be most beneficial to further explore the incentives for runners to incorporate technology in their activewear, as well as psychological viewpoints.
Okay, so as we advance, we will attempt to use different analysis approaches to investigate the various runner types and gain insights into the use of technology between these different categorizations. Upon reflection, we believe it is possible to separate distinct runner types into, for example, a casual runner, a social competitive runner, or dedicated runners. Consequently, we can associate the types with their use of technology. This can be helpful for developers to revise their approach to particular segments, to take advantage of the full potential of running-related technologies, to support runners to avoid injuries and maximize comfort. We also identified that increased interaction reduces running speed, while running movement further restricts interactions and needs these interference to be reduced, an area which is to be examined further. We accept that traditional research methods and ideas for communicating with interviewees are essential for our study and provide in-depth insight. Yet we also contend that more current research techniques and forms of study apply to wearable technology that reflects present online socializing combined with data quality, usability, and aesthetics. In addition, incorporating wearable technologies into running can be an efficient means to improve one's motivation, exercise frequency, and well-being.
Thank you for your time.